Hey there, my name is Przemek, and today instead of one review, you'll get four. That's because the last few months we have observed an increased activity of Winterlight label, and four albums released by them have seen the light of the day recently. In alphabetical order, these are Ajna, The Enigma of Sirius, Argyre, Planitia, The Great Dark Spot, Onasander&Ashtoreth, Devotio, and Rapoon 10-4 Centered Horizons. Four albums for different approaches to dark ambient matter are offered by the label this time, and Winterlight, maybe apart from Cryo Chamber, remains one of the last stands dedicated to solely to dark ambient drone music. Okay, let's begin with Ajna, The Enigma of Sirius. To be honest, I wasn't really fond of the project by Chris Messina in the past. Chris Messina is an actor. Considering the project as fair, okay, alright, dark isolationist ambient, but this approach has changed for me with his 2020 album called Oracular, released by Cyclic Low, which was like, at first at least, yeah, it's another dark ambient album, competently made, but not spectacular whatsoever. Yet after a while I realized that I listened to it almost every day for a couple of weeks, as if it unnoticeably sneaked into my mind and didn't want to let go. With the Enigma of Sirius, I have the exactly opposite relationship. I liked it since the very first listen. The cover looks like this. I don't know how it corresponds with the concept of the album, as it looks like some what's the English word, gazebo in the park. I don't know. Well, the concept is based on a theory that some ancient civilizations were contacted by the extraterrestrials, who have left them the advanced knowledge on physics, mathematics, astronomics. But you know how it is with dark ambient concepts. The best way to embrace them, at least this is my opinion, is to take a book on the subject and listen to the album as a soundtrack to it. I suppose in this case Erich von Daniken's works would be the best choice. Musically wise, Ajna's idea is to obtain the maximum effect with minimal means of expression. These are drones intertwining with drones and even more drones. There's nothing that would interfere the peculiar peace of mind this album is raising. Even though the tracks differ one from another, the changes of balance and dynamics are no sudden. The sounds morph in their own time with no rush, painting the images slowly, deliberately, and very carefully. So the final effect leaves no holes, no gaps to fill. It's like all the unnecessary sounds were carefully scrapped, leaving only what should be left. That is the essence. It's kind of similar what Kammerheit does in terms of both atmosphere and technical matters and approach to the compositions themselves. I mean, when you listen to it, I guess you can feel this pleasant, the Star Wheel vibe with the slow melodies and the dense drones and the feeling of solitude and desolation. Actually, it may seem funny, but this old school classic approach to drone music is kind of refreshing, really. It's a very good album. The second one is this one. Argyre, Planitia, The Great Dark Spot. I hope I pronounced the name of the project correctly. It's funny because when I started to record these videos, I realized that I have no idea how I should say many of those names, even those well-known, like Desideri Marginis or Desideri Marginis. Argyre Planitia or Argyre Planitia, or maybe even completely different. Okay, well, anyway, this is the project's second album for Winterlight. Before that, Stefan Voss, the German composer, has released one album for a Romanian label, Essentia Mundi, and several digital materials on the Bandcamp, I suppose. I don't remember. And on The Great Dark Spot, he continues his space explorations, as this album is a cosmic branch of dark ambient genre. But while listening to it, it doesn't make me think of the solitude and emptiness like on the albums by Sperzex or Nostromo by Sleep Research Facility. It's not a purely scientific approach to the cosmic matter either, like our Polish project Voices of the Cosmos does. When I listen to The Great Dark Spot, I think of an epic space opera like Hyperion Cantos by Dan Simmons, or the video games Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's like human race has conquered some planets, made the first contact, and continues its growth, but there's still an infinite mystery out there just waiting to be discovered. I think of all those 4 albums I talk about today, this one may be the most approachable for the fans, even outside the dark ambient, I think, and easiest to digest for such people, for people who don't listen to dark ambient very often, because it's all here: the pulsations, the melodies, purely cinematic feeling, like the 5th track, for example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Messina Chasmata. Minimal is the last word I would describe Argyre Planitia last album. I guess the album Nocturnal Gaze of Incidence by Predominance could be a good reference here, not in the technical or track construction terms, but rather the impression of watching an imaginary sci-fi movie. So if you wish for an epic dark ambient adventure, this one is for you. Okay, next we have this one, Ashtoreth and Onasander's collaboration called Devotio. 2 projects from Italy and Belgium, both very prolific the last couple of years. Both were already featured in our magazine in written form, but Onasander has also a video about his other collaboration on my YouTube channel. Okay, so Devotio, and first of all I have to read the artist's words about the concept. Devotio was a sacrifice, promise, or gift to a deity in return for a request in which the Roman commander promised to devote his life to chthonic gods in battle with the enemy in return for the victory of their own troops. The most famous Devotio in Roman history is probably that of the consul Publius Decimus Mus, who was fighting a battle against the coalition of Samnites and Gauls at Sentinum in 295 before Christ. According to the Roman historian Livy, he dedicated himself to the gods of the underworld and rode on horseback to his enemies, who killed him. My first impression was like, what the hell? I don't hear it at all here. While listening to this one, I imagine the endless meadow reaching far beyond the horizon, as it's a very peaceful and tranquil album. But okay, uh, let's imagine the devotion process itself with this music as a trigger. The commander wanders to some secluded place, perhaps to some forgotten ancient monument built hundreds of years ago by even more and two even more ancient gods, and asks for divine blessing there, waits for the enlightenment perhaps, alone, and finally return to his troops. What happens after that? You better play some Triari album to find out. And Devotion, more than Dark Ambient, which we usually identify with the labels like Winterlight, reminds more of darker works by Robert Rich, for example, based on atmospheric drones, field recordings like bird singing, uh, and it's not really dark, but it's more like a deep ambient if the semantics is important for you. Um, and this album of all these four is, in my opinion, the least emotionally engaging. I mean, don't get me wrong, I may sound like I'm complaining, but this is still decent and professional work, but it does best as listening background. Last couple of weeks I played a video game called Pentiment. The game's sound design is pretty aesthetic, so as a musical soundtrack, I just listened to these four albums one after another. And while in case of Ajna, Argyre, Planitia, and Rapoon, even when being focused on the game, I'm constantly aware of the accompanying music. I hear that this fragment is interesting, this melody I like, etc., etc. And Devotion just builds the ambience efficiently, yes, but very subtly. It unnoticeably fills the space, and really, I don't consider it as a disadvantage. Just Devotion works on a different fields of perception, so to speak. Okay, and the last one is this one. Rapoon 10-4 Centered Horizons. It's 746th album by Rapoon. Okay, maybe not 746, but close. As far as I know, 10-4 is an American police code that means message received. American movies, when a cop car receives an information about some incident or crime, and the words 10-4, we're on the way. But if you expect Dirty Harry or Miami Vice tribute on this one, forget about it. As this title means that there are 4 compositions on this album, each 10 minutes long. As you can see, quite a short album for Winterlight's standards, and also very calm for Rapoon standards. Calm, but still with a subtle tension, especially the first track, a balanced view, which is like someone saying, hush, go to sleep, everything is alright, while there is a huge storm outside, a storm which you can consider literally or as a metaphor. The drones are ascetic, the rhythms are muffled. I'm not sure that's a good word in English, muffled, sounding a bit like minimal dub techno even, at least I had such impression. I also think that Robin Story used some natural instruments, often looped and resonating like the call of some sort, the call of wild, and the silence as an instrument playing an equal role as the other sounds. It's like two sides of the same coin with another lately released material by Zoharum, that is this one, Skulls on the Plains of Turkey, which was out thanks to Zoharum Records. And I hear the similar sounds and melodies, but the skulls have clearer percussions. The dynamics of the compositions are more diverse. Even the covers, as you can see, black and white, are completely different, but also having something in common, you know, in those kind of primitive graphics, reminding of what the ancient people was left in the caves. Okay, both albums confirm that Rapoon is in quite a good shape during this last couple of months, and I'd even say that both are one of the best he did within the last couple of years. Although I need to stress that I haven't heard all of them, and I don't know if there's anyone except for Robin Story who did, because he releases so much material. Okay, I also have to say that compared to this Skulls album and to many other albums by Rapoon, 10-4 Centered Horizons is devoid of any ethnic influences. You can't ascribe it to any specific culture or geographical area. It's quite universal in its surreal and oniric feeling. Sometimes I have the impression that it has something in common with glacial ambient style or weather ambient. Is there such thing? Anyway, you know, rains, storms, blizzards, strange weather occurrences and phenomena, aurora borealis or whatever. Actually, the motto of this album is the ghost line between sea and sky, falling sideways. Fits perfectly. Oh, okay, 4 in 1. Okay, 17 minutes. Is there anyone still listening to what I'm saying, or am I just mumbling to the void? Anyway, none of these albums could be described as bad. Some of them I liked more, some a little bit less. All of them touches different emotions or atmospheres, but if I had to choose one I like the most, it would be Ajna, the Enigma of Sirius. And I'm going to play it right after I finish recording this video, which is now. Please subscribe if you like the video. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.